Book, why not?
I know, just do your own thing. I hope my dog don't, get too excited.
Oh no, even if they do, I'm so
Yeah, I'll pick her up and
excited.
show her. Bella, let me give her some
Yeah.
treats. Let me have treats.
Okay, cool. I'm going to
Okay.
post in a couple places. Hi, everyone joining in. Oh, and of course, we're getting a phone call.
Where are you at now? Are you home? Or are you at the office?
I'm at the school. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's everything kind of all at once sometimes. And I swear we're cursed because every time I start a live stream on point, we get a phone call. I'm not even kidding. It happened to me 3 times today already. As soon as like I had every Zoom meeting, it was just like ring, and I'm like, no, just give me a second.
Did you share it so I could share it once it
Yeah,
pops up?
I will tag you. Why is that being weird? It's like I click on it, but it's not taking me to like, oh, there it is. And I hear my voice and it's reverberating back at me. That's awful. That's the worst sound. I try to catch it every single time, but it doesn't do it. Okay, I'm tagging you. It's the worst. Because there's like this horrible delay and I have to catch it, but I never do. All right, we got people logging in. Hi, everybody. Yay. We're going to hang out for just a couple of minutes, get everything, or just like 1 more minute, and then we're going to get everything set up and ready to go. Yay. Got it. Sweet. I'm going to make an Instagram.
I was asking, like, how do I see the comments pop up on here or something? But
yeah, so it's like you have to click on the video itself, and then the comments box will be on the side, but then it will do the thing where we'll be able to hear ourselves. So like, be real quick with the mute button. Otherwise, I'll keep an eye out.
oh my God. Can you hear that?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. So,
All right.
oh my God. Okay. Maybe I should just have my iPad. Why aren't you doing this? Yeah.
Okie dokie.
2 lives in 1 week. Wow.
I know, right? This is 2020, everyone. Just going live.
Okay, so I can see I have it set up on here. Okay, my dog is what are you doing?
He's like, just like, who are
my,
you? I know that my dog all the time is like, who are you talking to? Like, what is happening?
Hey Cheddar. Hey Atia. If she gets a little bit crunk, we're just gonna she's gonna be up here on my lap.
Oh, yay. Okay, good. We'll have a special guest. Special guest. All right. Cool. Yes, we've got people coming in. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I'm glad y'all can make it. I'm Sara. I'm the director at the Atlanta School of Photography, and I am so excited to talk to the amazing Shoccara Marcus about her career as a dance photographer. We're going to go over things from like the business end and shooting and all that good stuff. So if you have interest in being a dance photographer or know someone that is, or wants to become one, share this now because this is going to be super awesome and very important. So, Shoccara, if you want to introduce yourself, go for it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shoccara Marcus. I am a dance photographer here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm also a dancer as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Shakara and I are actually both alumni together as well, although we didn't go to school together, which was so unfortunate. I was at the Savannah campus and you're at the Atlanta
Mhm.
campus.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But it's like we all kind of like know the same people, which is
hmm
bizarre. Is it,
I
did,
know.
did Dave teach you? That was it. I think he posted a picture on Facebook the other day of the whole class. It was such like I was like, what is going on? And then he also realized that he has worn the same exact outfit for every one of the class pictures for like
Oh
4
my
years
God.
in a row.
Oh my God. Stop
So
it.
I told him we need to go
Oh.
shopping. Yeah,
Now,
can't let that happen.
now. Yeah. Not again. That was it.
No.
That was it. Oh my God, I have to show you. I have Instagram post when I was in his class and it was like the final. And it's so funny. He had like this music on and he was like, and this is the final. And I was like, what is happening? When
He's
I send it to
such a
you, you're gonna
dork.
die. Just
He's
like,
such a dork.
wow.
Please send it to me. And then I'm just going to send it to it or just text it to him without any context. Just
It's the best. It's the
for
best.
those of you that don't know, Dave he's my boyfriend, but he also teaches here. He teaches the Photoshop and the Lightroom classes and all that good stuff. So yeah. Anyways, my first question is
Okay.
going to be, how did you start as a photographer? Like what got you interested in photography in the first place?
Oh wow. Do you guys really want to know the story?
Yes.
I'm like, where should I start? Should I start at SCAD or should I really go back to at Howard? Like
I'm always
how
interested in the
I
way backs. Yeah, go for it.
it was like a big accident. It really was. You're gonna be like, what? Okay, so it was the week of 5 finals back at Howard University. And I had to finish one final. And I was like, I'm going to go home and go to sleep for like an hour. Then I'm going to wake up, finish the final, and go to sleep the next day. Because that's what you do in college. You just throw away sleep. You just say, I just sleep the next day.
Yeah.
So I went home and I woke up the next day rather than that hour. So I woke up and missed my final because I was supposed to hand it in by 8 o'clock. I woke up at 9 o'clock.
That's the
Final wasn't.
nightmare.
Yes, I woke up like, no,
Oh
no.
no.
So guess what happened with that? Final late and everything. I failed that class. Yeah. So I failed that class, and the next semester, I needed one more class to be like get full time credits or whatever, like 12 credits was like full time. And I was like, I like taking pictures. I'm gonna take a photography class. Boom. So I took one class and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Took another. I said, how about I minor in this? Let's see what this is about. And then I was like, okay. And some of my friends was like, hey, take headshots of us. And I was like, no, that's scary. Why would I want to do that? Like, I don't know anything about taking headshots. It was a couple of my dance friends in my class. And so I took headshots and I just continued, graduated from Howard, BFA, major in dance, minor in photography. From there, I continued shooting. When I went to New York, I danced in a dance company there and just continued doing it on the side. Then I relocated back here to Atlanta and relocated because my father got sick. And so I was like, got to come home because we don't know what's going to happen. And I didn't know what to do with my life. I knew I wanted to dance. I said I wanted to dance. I was meant to be a dancer. That's what I thought. But God said, honey, I got another plan for you. You don't know the plan yet, but I have a plan for you. And so my mentor, my late mentor, he told me about SCAD. He said, go and check it out. And I was like, what is SCAD? No, why would I don't want to take pictures. I'm not a photographer. I'm a dancer. And he was like, just check it out. And I went to SCAD Day, and I was like, okay. Filled out the application. Then they called me back. Was like, hey, you going to finish submitting your portfolio? And I was like, you guys are calling me. okay, it must be serious. And then next thing you know, I'm starting at SCAD. And the miracle in it, the beautiful thing in it was that I started SCAD on what? My birthday. First day of
Oh, are
school
you
was on my birthday.
serious?
Yeah. hmm Yeah. That's how I got to SCAD. And that's how I really, yeah, yeah, crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah, so
So,
it like just took a completely different it's one of those things that of course happens a lot with life, which is just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then it just throws you a curveball and you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Oh, this is kind of cool. It's funny because I like similar thing with SCAD. I'm originally from Milwaukee and my grandma and grandpa lived in Savannah
mhm.
and they kept like sending me stuff being like, go to SCAD, go to SCAD, go to SCAD. And my Midwestern butt was like, I'm not moving to Georgia. What is this? Why would I do that? Chicago's like right there. And
Mhm.
then started applying and went down to the campus, realized there was no snow. And I was like, yes, okay, yeah, we can do this. And they gave me a
Yeah.
pretty decent scholarship too. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
yeah,
I know.
that's gonna do it. Yeah.
That's a plus right there.
Yeah. It was like when
I
someone
take
gives you
that.
money, you don't say no. Yeah.
That's so true.
Well, cool. I've got my second one. Kind of leading into that is then how did you start your business? Like at what point did you realize? I think that's like a super common question that we get with a lot of our students is when do I actually know that I have a business? Like beyond just like taking pictures and doing cool work and like having people like stuff on Instagram and Facebook. At what point do you go, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for a career?
Um, I think when I was at SCAD, I was just trying to figure out. I knew I liked the fine art aspect of it, and I was trying to juggle between which one I'm going to do, the commercial side or do the fine art side, and I didn't know. And so, okay, Bella says hello.
Hi, Bella. Oh my God, that little face. So
Yeah,
cute.
so she's
Oh,
going to be right here.
yeah.
So I was trying to figure out, where I fit in and what was my voice all about. And I knew with Atlanta being home, I knew a lot of dancers. I knew a lot of friends who started dance companies or who were like dance teachers in schools. And we always talked about hiring one another once we like made it big or,
Yeah.
got something really official. And so I just kept thinking, I knew I wanted to help brand up and coming artists because when I was in high school, trying to find someone to do headshots and dance shots was a challenge. And then trying to find someone was who had experience in that area, so that when it was time to audition for college, you needed to have that what first airbus or time due to the side. They didn't quite it wasn't educated in that area. So you had to have like a dance teacher there, or if you didn't have your dance teacher there, you had to really go off of like how your body felt inside to see if it was correct. And then once you got the pictures, you were like, no, that's not, why didn't they tell me this? Like, what's my leg doing? What is my foot doing? And so I knew I was passionate about that. And so I was like, I want to start there. That's where I want to start. I want to start providing headshots for all those artists that are going out in the field and needed for um, auditions, needed for their brochures, needed for their playbills, and then all those dancers that need me so they could brand themselves in a way that highlights their technique and highlights their body and make them look amazing. And right there, I was like, I want to do that, but how I'm going to do that? So I could start there, and then it'll just build. And I think it did. I took an amazing business photography class at SCAD, and that opened my eyes to contracts and memos and getting the right working on your website and getting the logistics out and what type of company you want to build and everything. And so that was like a plus for me, and that started it. And I just started from there. I continue with learning more so that once I finished SCAD, like everything was like pretty much official, and I was like ready to rock and roll.
That's awesome. It took me way too long after graduation to actually like do anything official. And for a long time, like looking back, I was just like, oh, I should have had like a business license or should have had like a separate bank account. I think it was like the biggest one that I messed up on. Or it
Oh,
was like, oh, have no keeping track of anything in terms of like expenses. It was like
mm-hmm.
I'd have to go through like all of like my Taco Bell orders, and then it would be like, here's a lens. It was like, no, this is such a bad way to do it. This is a
Oh,
horrible idea.
and I thought it was a horrible idea to start a business too, because I'm like, I was thinking how I'm going to survive. My biggest thing when I got in grad school was I got to make this thing work out. So once I'm done with school, I'm not going to be a starving artist because I didn't
Yeah.
believe in it. And coming from Howard, I just knew I was like, I got to make it. So I was in like every professor's face, like, I don't get it. Help me. Somebody help me. So
Yeah.
because I needed to get it. And I only had a limited amount of time being in school to get it. But now that I'm out, I can still go to those professors to get their advice on anything. And that's like the great thing right there. I could connect with them. Like when I see them, I still call them professor. I'm like, I miss you.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
and when they keep telling you, it's just like this time is finite. Like in your school education, this is a certain amount of time that you have, and use it to your ability. Like get as much out of it as you possibly can. So for anyone watching out there, whether you're like in college or you're with us, if you're there in the room and you have a question, ask it, because you're either going to forget or it's going to take too long and it's going to come
Mhm.
up and you're going to go, I should have asked that question. So it's like, just
Mhm.
please, we love it when you ask questions. Like I'm sure Shoccara, as you as a teacher as well, in the workshops that you do, you're just constantly like doing the same thing that we do. We're just like, does anyone have any questions? I
Yeah.
know how it is. Please ask questions.
Yeah. Like that's everything you think about. If you're thinking about something before you go to sleep, jot it down on a notepad or something, like just get it out. And that was me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
give my students full permission to email me at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, I know you're going to have the moments where you just shoot out of bed and you're just like, that one Lightroom thing. Ugh. And I'm like, just do it. I'll get it in the morning. That's the wonderful thing
Yeah.
about email is I'll get it in the
Yeah.
morning, but just send
Yeah.
it to me. Like, feel free because it's
I
so
know.
incredibly important.
Yeah. And I felt like I was playing catch up because I went to school for dance. So when I got there and I'm surrounded by all my colleagues who are, I felt like they were so advanced in photography than I was at the time, I'm panicking and I'm just like, I don't know this, I don't know that. Oh my God, it's not going to work out. And they would just be like, calm down. I'm like, it's just so much I don't know. I was supposed to be a dancer.
Yep.
And it's so much I don't know. I stressed myself out in grad school. I
Yeah.
surely did.
Yeah, it's like all of us where it's just that in that mindset of just like you don't recognize like how much information you actually do have and how you'll be equipped with that amount of information. You're just focused on like the void of everything that is yet to come. And it's just like, this is terrifying. And I want to make sure I am as
Yes.
much prepared for this void of uncertainty as I possibly can be. So, oh man. So, oh, Kenzie
Oh,
Jessup,
yeah.
hey, had a question. Can you recommend a starter camera and gear for like dance photography? That's a good question.
I started camera and gear for dance photography. Well, I shoot with a Nikon 800. Um, and so I would say, and you probably could help her in this area because I know you guys talk a lot about cameras and everything at the school and everything. And I don't really have like a preference with you got to get Nikon or you have to get Canon. It just depends on like what are you shooting. I shoot with Nikon. If you wanted to start with um, I'm thinking a crop sensor, you could, or if you wanted to start with a full frame, like the 800 is is full frame. I've been working with since grad school, and it's amazing. And as far as lens, I have a 24-70, then I have a 70-200, and they both are 2.8 lens. And so, dependent on, I would say the 70-200 lens would be the best lens to photograph your dancer. And then always, a lot of times I have a tripod with me, but it depends on like how much we're moving. And then other gear questions, lights. If you're doing natural, you can have a reflector or not. But as far as lights, I shoot with alien beads. So did that kind of help? And
Oh, yeah.
feel free to jump in there, because I know you guys explore with a lot of stuff that deals with like cameras and everything.
Yeah, that's like our go-to kind of like area. And if I had to guess, it's like if you're starting, anytime someone asks like, what do I start with? Start with the camera that you have and the lens that you have. Learn the techniques of the actual shooting process
Mhm,
first. And
mhm,
then when you're able to upgrade your gear, you're going to feel like it's some sort of like Christmas present, because you're just like, oh my God, this is so much easier. And this looks so much
yeah,
better. And this is so much like just overall around. You can do it with like the gear that you have. The
mhm,
one thing that I'd recommend for that look is an 85mm. So
mhm,
like the 70-200 is amazing. It took
mhm.
me a good probably 6 years into my career to save up for like a good Canon 70-200 lens.
Oh yeah,
They're not cheap. I love
they're
it.
not.
I
They're
love it
not.
so much that I have it now. It is my baby and no one
Yes,
touches it but me.
yes.
But in the meantime, prior to that, my 85mm lens, which is like anywhere
Mhm,
between like the $500 to $700 range, is a
mhm,
fantastic lens. It's
mhm,
not going to zoom, so you got to like structure and set things up properly, but it's going to get you that
yep,
nice blurry background, and having someone far away enough and
mhm,
still be able to get the blurry background that's so great. The focusing modes are going to be key. If you can pinpoint where someone is standing and focus on them, that's great.
mhm.
Otherwise, you might want to have one, and Shoccara, I'm not exactly sure at what point you use, whether it's the single focusing where it's like the one shot. It's called one shot on Canon. Nikon, it's AF S. Yes.
S.
Okay. Yeah. Where it's like you go to focus, you hold down that shutter button, or you have the back button focusing, and it locks in, and then that's where it's at. Or
Yep.
the continuous focusing, which is the AFC, where it's kind of reacting. But depending on how someone's moving, I think that could
Yeah.
make a huge difference as well.
Hmm. Yeah. That's true. So
So
those
this-
are like some things to really take in consideration. You really have to be conscious of, okay, what type of shapes they're creating. Like is it that I want to capture motion, or do I want to freeze motion?
Mhm.
And then from there you'll be able to determine like what you're going to put your settings on. It's a lot of um, planning before you get into the space. I'm looking at reference pictures. um, I'm looking at that particular dancer too. Send me your IG or send me your website so I can get an idea. And then so once I get in the space, I'm able to be aware of like how to direct you to get what we're going for. If you are looking for images, to bring you, or if we're doing a creative project that I'm working on myself.
And it doesn't even have to be like if you go and you're practicing ahead of time, don't think you have to like get a professional dancer first and then be like, okay, this is it. This is how I learn.
That's
It's like,
true.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Get a friend, have them just jump up and down the air for you,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
kind of get towards you or something like that. It's not going to look pretty. They're going to look really weird if they're not a dancer, and they're going to look like make stupid faces and stuff like that, but it's way more fun. And so get them to just like be in an open space or a backyard and just goof
Yeah.
around and just look at the pictures that you're taking. And then
Hmm.
you learn from that experience without having it be high pressure. And
Yeah.
then you can go and apply it to the actual shoot that you're doing with more professional people. And you feel a little
Oh
bit more
yeah.
comfortable, at least what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you're still not going to be entirely comfortable at first.
I know
Like,
you're gonna be nervous anyway.
oh yeah, your entire brain is going to be screaming, I shouldn't be doing this. And why am I here? And what is going on? And it's like, you'll
Yeah.
have that for like the first couple of years as a photographer, just going, I don't know what I'm
Let
doing.
me
Why are
turn
people
this light
paying
on.
me to do this? Like
Yes.
I had that for the first several years as a photographer of just like low confidence of why would anyone pay me money to take pictures? But then you kind of slowly start to realize you're just like, oh, I'm actually good at this and I kind of know what I'm doing. So yeah.
Yeah. I still get nervous. People don't believe.
Yes.
I freak out before a shoot. And people are like, what? I'm like, I'm so nervous. And they're like, you're not used to it. No, I'm not used to it. I don't think I ever will be.
Nope.
But I get so nervous.
It's just
I
something
think,
that happens because I think it's like photography is this very bizarre career where, and I said this before, where it's like Murphy's Law reigns supreme. If something can go
speak
wrong,
on
it
it.
will go wrong.
Yeah,
And in
yeah,
so many other careers, that's never really a factor. It's just
yeah.
like, okay, it's kind of, you know what to expect and you have things coming up. I've been doing this for, yeah, 7, 8 years now professionally, getting paid. And I still to this day run into stuff where I go, what was that? Like, how did that, like, didn't even think it was
I
coming.
freak out because it's like we photographers, we have to think in a moment about everything. When it goes wrong, we have to troubleshoot within seconds. And we got to make sure that thing work out. Especially if you're getting paid, you're on a paid shoot and something goes wrong, you're paid to figure out and you're paid to make sure you have a successful shoot. You can't do that again. It's like,
Mhm.
no, the time is now. Like, what's wrong? Figure it out. And you're like thinking about everything you've learned in your career, everything you're online googling right quick, you're reading, and then you're thinking about setting up. Go ahead, set up the shot. I'm
It's me
good.
like texting
Okay.
my friends, like, what is happening? How do I do this? Why is it doing this? Do you see this? Like, I take a picture of it and I'm like, what is this doing? Why?
Yes,
But in the meantime, your whole face professionally is just like, it's great.
yes,
Everything's wonderful. I don't know what you're
like
talking about.
yes.
Everything's totally calm.
That's how it was for my live the other day. It was like 5, 4, 3. Hey guys,
Hello.
you
What
just
are we
don't
doing
have no
today?
idea.
Everything's lovely. Everything's perfect. You have no idea of any of the chaos. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh my God. And there's like fires and there's like stuff throwing up in the air and like, and then it's just like, welcome back, everyone. Hi.
yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Camera done blanked out, computer done blanked out, and yeah, nothing's working. And yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. I was messaging you about it the other day and I'm like, you never would have known. It looked fantastic. I have no idea what you're
Oh my
talking about.
God.
Yeah.
Let's not talk
But
about that.
no, no. Oh my goodness. So yeah. So kind of like putting that all together, work with the equipment that you currently have.
Yeah,
Bring someone
yeah,
out and
totally
test
agree.
it. Test out
Hmm.
those different settings. The different
Oh yeah.
focusing modes are going to be so key.
Hmm.
Work with it and see what you can get, and then evolve into different and new equipment. And
Yeah.
you can look at that equipment and go, and you'll have a reference point for when you're looking at
Hmm.
it and going, oh, you know what? That really worked for me. Like
Hmm.
I was shooting a lot. Like when I go to buy a new lens, I'll look back at like my Lightroom catalog and I'll see what focus ranges I use the most. And I was like, dude,
Hmm.
I'm like all the way up, constantly up at like 200 millimeters. So let me
Yeah.
get a 100 to 300 millimeter lens because
Yeah.
I'm pushing it. So let me go further. And don't forget to rent equipment. Aperture rent is fantastic. PPR
Yes.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
Rent your stuff before you buy it. Only spend like $40 to $60 for it on the weekend rather than investing several
Yeah.
hundred. And you're sitting there with something you're just like, oh crap, I hate this. So there's nothing worse than spending a good chunk of money to
Yeah.
go, I don't want this. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That's so true. I do. I run a lot from PPR.
Hmm. Johnny and the guys over
Like,
there are great.
yeah, they are.
They're
Yeah.
super, super helpful. If you go in and you have a question, I've literally called up Johnny in a frantic period in same method, going, Johnny, hey, the light won't open. How does it open? How do I open this light? It was a weird one. It was like the softbox was like already attached to it and it wasn't a
Okay.
clip on and it was folded up. And I was like,
Oh,
how do I? And he goes, pull the cord. And I was like, and it opened up like an umbrella. And I was like,
uh, okay, thank
thanks,
you.
Johnny.
Bye.
Love you guys.
I call Carlos over there. Like, I asked him about like everything.
Yeah.
Like, some things I have no clue. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. He's like, why? You can just do this, that, that. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't think about
Okay.
that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, they're awesome over there. So highly, highly, highly all the recommendations to PPR for sure.
Yeah.
Next question is, have you found that, like, so your dance background, how do you find that helps to inform your photography? And would you recommend for people that are interested in getting into dance photography to take classes?
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. If you going to plan to be a dance photographer, take a class. You got to get familiar with the body, how the body moves, how you want to mold it, and certainly how to correct them to achieve what you're going for. I'm very grateful for my dance background because some things that I've had, like some great dance teachers in the past, especially at Howard, that was able to tweak little things and tell us little things, and it corrected the body. And you would say, what? Like, just breathe under that last floating rib. And you're like, what? And then you're like, my Arabesque does look better because of that. So
Oh, cool.
it's like so crazy where um uh, those little corrections help. So with me having that background, I can look at the dancer and figure out what is it that we need to correct, because they just feeling it in their body, and if they haven't worked with me before, um, then they're not used to it. I know a lot of people are surprised when they have a dancer that's photographing a dancer because they just like, oh, the way my body feels in that position, I thought it was right, but maybe you needed to lift up a little bit more. Maybe you need to point that feet, watch that foot is sickle, or maybe you need to breathe life at the end of the fingertips. So I'm very grateful for a dance background, and I would say yes, get into a dance class, or with everything being virtual now, um, you could take a dance class on Instagram or Facebook Live. A lot of people are doing that now, or YouTube different dance concerts and performances, and just get familiar with the shape, you know, like browse through magazines and rip stuff out and screenshot and go on Pinterest and see what shapes you like and why. And then you can have that reference with you at a shoot so that when you're getting the dancer to actually execute the shape, you can say, and if you can't like describe what it is you need them to do or correct, you could pull out that picture and say, so I like what she was doing. How can you do that?
Yeah.
And so that would really be helpful.
Well, in the same way that, like, even as photographers, we just slightly tweak something. Like the slightest change in like an aperture or an ISO or a shutter speed can make all the difference in the world. So if you're thinking about it in the terms of like context, starting almost from the other way, if you started as a photographer and then go to do dance, you're
Mhm.
kind of trying to put it into that contextualization of sometimes just that smallest little bump can be like, okay, yeah, that's it. We got it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
very similar ways, but you're kind of doing both at the same time as a dance
Oh.
photographer, which I'm sure
Oh.
is super fun.
And sometimes I'm shooting. Well, I won't say sometimes I'm shooting by myself. A lot of the times I am shooting by myself, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm calling up my dance friends and saying, "Hey, I need another set of eyes because it's so much I'm doing, and it's challenging." And so I'm like, "Hey, come on set with me, be my other set of eyes, and whatever that I don't catch, please catch it for me." And so it's like a teamwork, and that really helps out as well.
Yeah, because you're almost doing two jobs at the same time. You're
Yeah.
a photographer and a director simultaneously. And that's like one of the few areas of photography where that's like a thing. Like for me as an event photographer, I'm floating around. I'm just like, if I could have the like gift of invisibility, that would be the most amazing thing in the whole wide world. So I don't have to be seen. My job is not to be seen or heard, is just to completely capture moments as they happen.
Yeah.
Where in instances like I had to photograph one of my friend's weddings, which I was so glad to do. And
Yeah.
I was told him, I was like, you know that my style of photography is very fly on the wall. And I know your parents, and they're going to want the nice family pictures. And I don't do that. So I called in Amanda and I was like, Amanda, can you please like do that part of it with like the directing and like that's Amanda's thing. Amanda can just be like, okay, now we're getting the grandparents with the bride and we're going to move it in here. And she's just like force of nature at it. So it's like you guys
Love it.
have that like amazing talent just to be able to start directing people and have that. So do you have any tips for the students to help to like build that part of it, as like starting to like direct people?
Tips for how to direct.
To get comfortable with it, because I know there's a lot of photographers when you start, you're like really reticent and kind of like, can you just like do
Mhm.
this real quick, instead of just being like, hey, move this way, and kind of, yeah, building that confidence. Does it just come with time?
Well, I would say a couple things have helped me, like event photography. I do a lot of events and do a lot of dance performances, and live events. And there I have to do like some directing and stuff. And I have to say, hey, can you step over here? I need to get this shot. And I was afraid. Like this was something I never wanted to do because I wanted to be the fly on the wall. I wanted just to disappear.
Yeah.
And now I had to say, hey, can I get this shot? Or turn here, turn there. So event photography helped me in weddings, because I was afraid, but doing a lot of weddings helped me come out of that shell. So then when I got a chance to photograph dancers, um, it 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 just added to it. But I would say, like you said earlier, find someone. You don't have to find like a professional dancer, but someone who just likes moving. For example, get someone who just likes moving and then start exploring with them and then directing them on what you're going for until you get comfortable, and continue to do that because you're going to have to direct. You're not going to be photographing a dance. I'm telling you, you're not going to be photographing a dancer and everything is going to be perfect. You're not going to say, okay, that's great, let's go to the next shot, because dancers, they want that. They need direction when they're being photographed. And a lot of ones would tell me, like, I shot with this photographer. They didn't tell me like what to do. They just kept clicking, and I don't know if it looked good or not. And then I didn't even see the picture, so I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about
Ooh,
that one."
yeah. So it's really like, because I saw on your live stream the other day where it was like you take the shot or like a couple of shots, and then you have the dancer come over and look at it like it's tethered up to the computer, as I'm sure it was. And then you're looking at it together and going, okay, so your foot here is kind of going this way. Can you make sure that it's a little bit more pointed? And each shot, it was like, maybe to someone who's not looking like clearly, it may look like the same shot, but you see this progression that's really cool of these small little tweaks, and it just
Yeah,
becomes more perfected over time.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a good
It's
thing with directing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. That's one thing I really, really love. Um, because after what 3 or 4 shots and we got it, because they think their body, they're executing it, and then once they look at it, they're not conscious of, oh, my hand is flexed. I didn't know my hand was flexed. Let me curve the hand. Oh, okay. My shoulders are up. Let me bring my shoulders down. And so at the end, like you said, once you see the final product, it's like 3 things we just needed to fix, and then boom, we got it. Let's move on to the next shape.
Oh, and then the other thing that I noticed that I think a lot of folks do sometimes, but I want to know your opinion on it, is have the fast fire shutter down where you're holding it and it just goes like brrr, but with yours it was just like you knew you had that like Cartier-Bresson decisive moment sort of
Mhm.
instinct of that's it.
Mhm.
That's it.
So
No fast fire.
look, I think I got like dog hair. I'm just like
No, I have cat hair on me, and
the dog
sometimes
hair
when I'm
is
like
on me, on
teaching,
my
I'm
nose.
just like, it's getting in
So
my face. Anyway.
look, I think I can let her down now. I don't think she's gonna
Oh.
bark at me. So when you're thinking about a shape that you're going to execute, you got to think of the sweet spot in it. So if they're doing a jump, a leap, or if they're standing still and they're just elongating, you want to think about like what in that pose I want to capture, and because I can't do the burst. I think you guys saw like on the live, I was like, okay, I don't do, and I was like, see, that doesn't work for me because I know what I'm going for. and then the camera is going to give like a little second delay. So I'm going to,
Yes.
if you're doing a jump, I'm going to make sure like a little bit when you're halfway up there. So about time I press the button, I'm going to get you right in the spot.
Mhm.
And so you have to be clear of what you're going to capture, because you probably say a leap and then they go into preparation for a leap. You already have taken a picture, and it's like, no, you want her in the leap. You don't want her going into the leap, and then you don't want her coming down from the leap. So they have to be clear of what it is that they're trying to capture in that particular pose.
Yeah, and it's like something that's that subtle. Also in terms of like thinking about your equipment, different cameras have different actual like different delay times,
Mhm.
which for like product photography, fashion photography, that kind of thing, it's not necessarily as much of an issue. But
Mhm.
for dance photography, for sports photography, it is huge.
Oh yeah.
So if you can understand what that delay time is for your camera, and it might just be fractions of seconds, but it makes all the difference in the world. And what your
Mhm.
brain starts to do, which is like one of the weirdest things as a photographer I've ever known my brain to do, next to like being in a dark room and seeing my hands, even though it's totally dark in the dark room. That's like number one. That's top. That's up there. Um, but the second weirdest thing was knowing my camera. Yeah, no, I'd literally be like, why am I seeing my hand? Yeah, anyways. Um, College, no sleep. That's probably what did it. So, but knowing like your camera and its timing, I would be able to go, I can see this person moving into this position, and like doing event photography, I'd be like, okay, I know this person is about to walk in front and they're about to
Mhm.
like shake someone's hand and hand them an award. I actually need to press my shutter button down right before their hands meet, like right before it, because it's going to be that like 1/50th of a second of a delay of my shutter
Yep.
from the time that I pressed it down to the time it actually captures the image, where that's a
Yes.
factor. But that's just someone shaking a hand. For dance
Yep.
photography, it's like minuscule. So if
Yeah.
you're starting with those more basic cameras, that
Yeah.
delays a little bit longer and your brain
Yeah.
starts to get really used to it. And then like we were saying before, as soon as you go and like upgrade your camera, that delay is like almost non-existent,
Yeah.
instantaneous. And it's so relieving. You're just like, yes.
Yeah.
But you have to actually like unlearn your brain from your previous camera
Oh
in a
my God.
couple of
Yeah.
ways. And it's so
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah. And I literally I stopped breathing. Like I stopped. Like I don't. I'd be like, okay, okay, because I feel like I'm gonna miss the second one. Or
Yep.
just are you like that? Like
Oh yeah. One of my friends has literally looked at me and gone, your face is going red. Is it what's happening? Are you remember to breathe? And I'm like, oh sorry. I was just like really in it. My bad.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Totally the same. Totally the same.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Other question. Um, Different types of so like finding your clients, how did you go about being able to reach out to different people, and how do you find them? Is there a way that you reach out to them at first? Do you find like certain social media platforms are more important to exercise than others? Like doing these, we've gotten a lot of different people being like, oh, Facebook, oh, Instagram, oh, and then like LinkedIn. I was just like, LinkedIn, okay,
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So how do you go about finding those different clients to bring in?
So in the beginning, I used like Facebook, and then Instagram came,
Yeah.
a part of it. And so I was just posting different shoots, and different people would like inbox me and go to my website and be interested. Lately, I've been posting my stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm a part of a couple of groups in LinkedIn, so that's been helping. I work at a couple of different schools here in Atlanta, and so parents who see my work, if I'm creating work for a dance program that needs branding material for the upcoming dance concert, and then one of those parents probably reach out to me, or somebody have seen their work. Um, and then a local, if I'm doing stuff for local dance studios, and because I um, grew up in Atlanta, I've done work for one of the dance schools that I train at, which is amazing. Like there's still my picture of like 1989 or something. My picture, I had a Jerry curl, honey. Oh, in a tutu, like
Oh
on
my
the wall.
God.
And it just makes me proud because it's like, yo,
I love
I was dancing here
that.
when I was little, and now
Yes.
I'm working for you guys, and I'm providing like great work. So I have lots of friends, and then the word gets around, and different people are like, hey, I saw these pictures on social media, or I saw these pictures at the dance concert, or someone probably used those branding pictures and at a piece inside of the dance concert, and they projected, and at the end they were like, who's that photographer? So lots of word of mouth, and social media has helped me get a lot of my clients, and being a walking billboard, because when I'm out shooting, people see me, you see my
Yep.
shirt, people will quickly like, oh, what's that? Let me go ahead and Google that, and they will reach out to me like that. So that has been a total blessing.
Yeah, that's it. Where it's like, I think a lot of people, when we're starting their business, they're like, I don't even know where to start. And I'm like, start with people you know.
Yeah,
You know people. You
yeah.
have folks in circles that are already around you. Because chances are, if you're doing like a niche type of photography, whether it's dance, it's pet photography, it's headshots, that you're not just like kind of throwing it out there. Chances are you've had some interactions with some person, whether it's one or multiple of like either
Mhm,
one person or a community of people that have access to that. And you just have to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm doing this now. So
mhm,
if you want it, let me know and we'll set up a time. And then yeah, it just snowballs from there.
mhm.
It's so funny how it just kind of like gains more and more momentum, but you have to keep doing it and you have to keep putting stuff out there and you have to keep up with it and keep putting the work out there. I found anytime I'm in like a dry spell, that's the time things slow down. If I'm not doing my own work and I'm
Yeah,
not doing my own creativeness or doing like these live streams and stuff like that, it's like it just kind of goes like, "Mwah."
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like you gotta kind of keep things
yeah,
moving, which I know is
yeah,
hard now because we're all just kind of like at home, which is
yeah. But
weird.
I mean, but as a business owner, there's no downtime.
That's so true.
even even though that we're going through this pandemic, like I redid my website. Um, like that first week it happened, I was like, I've been
That's literally
meaning.
what I did today.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I've been meaning to do it. And then that kept me busy. And then I had to do a couple more things. And then people were like, what are you doing over there? Like, do you have a lot of time on your hand? I was like, I don't have enough time. What do you mean? Do I have a lot of time on my hand? Because I didn't take a second to like really relax. Uh,
Mhm.
I looked at this moment as all the things I didn't get a chance to do that was
Mhm.
on my list for every time I do like a business retreat. I look at what worked, what didn't work, and then update the website and look at packages and different things like that. So I was like, oh, I can go ahead and start on that now since I have that time. And then that kept me busy.
Mhm.
And then I had to stop and say, hey, you got to take a day off because you're tired.
Yeah, Dave literally has to like he's done as much to like pull the back of my chair and like move me away from the computer and been like, you have to stop. You have to stop. Give yourself a few hours or a day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, fine. Because like, yeah, as a business owner, you grow this giant honeydew list, this
Mhm.
huge, massive list of things where it's like, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. Yeah. And then the pandemic hit and it's like, where is it? Where's that list? Let's do it. Let's start like pulling out all the stops and start figuring out all of that long, long, long list. Oh yeah. So Jessica, hey Jessica, asked, what lenses do you use to take dance pictures in the studio? Oh, and so we had mentioned before this 24 to 70 and the 70 to 200 are brilliant. And then do you take pictures in the studio or outside? Both and why. And we might be having a connection issue because we just had a giant storm come in.
Yeah.
So if it's glitching out, I
Yeah.
apologize. I literally just heard like a huge thunderbolt like
Oh,
hit and
okay.
just big wave of thunder. So there might be some super fun internet things happening. Yay. But
Yeah.
the
It was
question was,
storming over here a second. Like it
yeah,
was
it was
raining
like,
hard.
ooh, geez, okay.
Come over
Again,
there.
Everything's fine. Everything's
Yeah.
great. Hello. Yeah.
um. Okay. Well.
In the studio, yeah. So do you like to take pictures in the studio or outside or both, and why?
Oh my God. I love outside. I love locations. Locations inspire me.
Mhm.
If you look on my Instagram, on my website, you'll see a lot of locations. And if like I'm driving around or doing a little bit of travel, like I go back and say, hey, I want to shoot there because I am inspired by locations and I could create so much more. In the studio, that's fine. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good with studio, but I love locations. It's just so much to explore and juxtapose the dancer within the space. And I'm creating stories because usually the beginning of the shoot, if it's like a creative shoot for me, I'm telling you about what story I'm trying to create, what idea I saw in my head in a dream. And Bella, oh no, what, whoa,
She's doing what
what
we did. It's
story?
like it's
Yeah,
scary outside.
yeah. Oh yeah, she's scared.
Oh.
So what I saw in my head, I want to execute, and then for if you're coming to me for is a shoot for you, I'm going to go in depth with the questions, like how you're trying to brand yourself. What is it you're trying to go for right here? And then I'm going to just like milk that so that we can get your mind and um eh, be aware of that vision, and you could be in that state of mind, so then we can execute it and you can see it in your body and we can also see it in your face. So I know I just went far out with that, but outside is a winner all day. But as you can see some on my wall. I do studio work as well.
Yeah, it's something about being at a location where it's like, and I think it depends on every photographer, where it's like Drew, one of our instructors, just such like amazing work in the studio. Like he's molding the lights and he's
Oh
got
yeah.
crazy backdrops and is able to go in and like Photoshop things. So he's like got his own world that he's creating like in a studio space versus which like I agree, like I love locations because I'm just like I feel much more kind of integrated into the space and like you're saying like inspired. So I think it depends not only on like your visual style but just like
Hmm.
you as a person and where you draw your inspiration from and where you
Yeah.
feel most comfortable because that's going to come off in the picture at the end of the day 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, it is really coming down out there, goodness
Oh my God,
gracious.
really?
Yes, I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to have a one last question and then I'm not going to push it because Mother Nature is just knocking at our door going, I'm going to cut your internet at any
Oh,
moment. So
oh. How long is it supposed to last? Is it supposed to be like a long
like a
storm or
like a big
something?
storm, I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like as soon as we hit June, it's totally up in the air. Like I feel like June in Georgia, it's just like could be 30 seconds, could be 5 hours. We're just going to do
Really?
whatever we want. Yeah.
Is it like what season? It's not tornado.
Is it tornado season already?
Is it?
I
I
forget.
mean, we can't
Ugh.
figure out what season it is because of the pandemic.
I
We
don't know
don't
what
know.
time it is. I don't know what I did
No, yeah. We
yesterday.
don't want no we
So
don't even know what season. Is it summer? Is it spring? Like, is it winter?
let's just put everything on hold. Forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll have a
yeah,
talk with Mother Nature and go, not this year. We're
yeah.
gonna just not do that this year. Um, but
Basically.
if you had like a piece of advice for dance photographers that are starting out, what would it be?
Hmm. Dance with time, Chris is starting out. Keep shooting. Shoot as much as you can. Because in the beginning, you're going to get all the horrible stuff out the way. And I tell you that. And do that with my ideas. I probably start with one idea and it's really not good. And then eventually I'm like, oh, that's what I really wanted to do. So, like, shoot as much as you can. Um, get a journal and record all of the shoots you want to do and try to do them. And some going to be whack, and then you probably get to that one great one where you knock it out of the ballpark, and then take a dance class or you can go inside of a dance class at the studio, local studio. It's like, hey, can I sit in your dance class and just
There we go.
practice? Can I just take pictures and you can use them if they're good.
Yeah.
If they're good, you could use them for whatever you like. And I just want to get as much practice. And there are some studios out there. There are some dance teachers that will allow you to come in class and
Oh,
just
yeah.
practice, sit in a corner and just shoot as much as you can. You're not going to be using a flash because you can't blind the dancers, honey.
Nope. That's
So you
dangerous.
have, yeah, you have to get used to natural lighting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shoccara, for taking the time out. I super, super appreciate it. And I'm sure the students appreciate it as well. You guys, make sure to check out Shoccara. She's doing, oh, plug your workshops. What do you got coming up?
Oh, well, right now I'm offering virtual workshops. I have a dance photography workshop. So if you are interested, you can go to my site and check them out. And if you want to what virtual workshops and events, um, editing, and basic camera stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can. And then I will be posting soon. I'm not sure when, depending on, if we come outside again. But I'm going to have my next dance probably 2 hour. How long was that dance workshop I did with you guys?
At the goat farm?
Yeah.
Was it?
Was it like
Yeah,
three
that was
hours?
maybe 2 or 3 hours, I think.
Okay. So I'm going to first, once I find an amazing location, because it has to be amazing. The last one we did Goat Farm, and then the first one was Linden Mill. That was
Yes.
so good.
Oh, we got to get back to
So
Glendale. That place
yeah.
is
But have you seen all the
amazing.
renovations they've been doing on IG?
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It
oh
looks
my
yeah.
goodness.
It's like a
Okay,
wedding hall central. So
yeah, we
it's
need to plan something because that's
yeah,
like epic. That needs
yeah,
to happen as soon as worldly possible at this point.
yeah,
I'm using that phrase a lot. So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so I'll let you guys know when my next dance photography workshop would take place. And if you have any suggestions on locations, like throw them at me, inbox me. Gmail is my email is shakara at gmail, and social media is all Shocphoto.
Mhm.
Website www.shocphoto.com.
And I put the links to the classes on your website and Facebook page in the chat. So follow, do it. Yes. And we
Yeah.
have our classes starting up. We're reopening in July. Fingers
Hey.
crossed.
Yes, yes.
There's super, super small classes. Everyone's going to be super safe. Masks are required, but we are not ending our online classes. We got a lot of folks coming back and be like, is online over? And we're like, no, this has been awesome and super fun. So we're still going to do stuff like this. We're going to do the ASoP live sessions. We've got workshops, we've got classes. So come hang out, learn, do some stuff, take some things and have some fun. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Shoccara. I super appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I had a blast, and I think
Yeah.
Bella, did you have fun? The
I
storm
bet,
scared you?
yeah. I know.
Bye.
Bye, Bye. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.